gonna spew. Spew into this.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Cake Burger. My name is Steve.
And I'm Mike, looking at the recording box. For some reason, I always pop up. And then I go in right away, and I'm like, hey, whatever. You know me, I'm Mike.
Way to start things on the right foot. Not only you were not even in sync with what you were saying, but it was breaking up like you sounded like a robot getting the shit kicked out of it. Try talking right now, Mike.
Hey, guys.
There you go.
There I go. Yeah.
What was going on? The microphone not hooked up?
I don't know. I got the Blue Yeti mic, but I haven't had a chance to really figure it out because it's like this gain audio thing. It's
a more professional YouTube channel that was actually making money probably would have like, let's just start over and fix this or edit it. But we're just going to leave it in there because,
Exactly.
Why not?
You already know who we are by now and what we like.
Seriously,
and you probably can't tell from the awesome, drawing that I didn't draw, that Mark Bagley did.
I think it's pretty obvious what Mike likes.
I'm only gonna wear this for you guys during the Spider-Man podcast.
I am representing a little Scotty Young Spider-Man going on right now. Yeah. Anyway, Mike, let's get right into it. The newest issue of Spider-Man. What issue of Spider-Man is this? We're wrapping up Nick Spencer's
73 and almost at 900. I'll say that.
Now, you guys are already going to know what I put in the thumbnail. It's on the title card. You guys know what we're talking about right now. Mike, do you have your phone on you right now?
I do.
All right. I want you to do me a favor. Look into your text, and when you sent me the image that we're showing right now, I want you to read the first text that I wrote back to you as soon as you saw that. Keep in mind, I was driving to New York when Mike sent me this text.
He said, "Oh man, this is the greatest thing that ever happened."
That's not true.
He said, "This is a kids show, so I'll leave out the whatever." Fuck that! I hate it so much. That's exactly what he said. And we were both on vacation, I believe.
That was my gut reaction when I saw it. It was funny because we were riding up there, and it was like it's a good 4.5. We're counting the pit stop to White Castle going to New York. It's almost a 5-hour drive to New York, and so you sent that to me about an hour in to our car ride, and so it was a lot of silence on my end, and then my wife's trying to get me to chat her up because she's driving, she wants something to do, and I just turn around to Ben and I go, I think it's pretty obvious all I want to do is talk about this Gwen Stacy thing right now. And so like Mike said, my reaction was I hate this so much. I was very it was very much someone pissed in my cereal bowl, and I did not like it. I had time to cool down, obviously. Talking
about the original Amazing Spider-Man 73, right? Not the newest one that's coming out?
We're talking about the new one, the Nick Spencer.
Oh, how can you hate the original Gwen Stacy?
Well, here's the deal right now. Although I was very, very fired up to see this supposed reveal right now, it's weird for me because I'm actually not the hugest Gwen Stacy fan anyway. So yeah. I mean, I don't know why you get so mad, but the second text I wrote you, Mike, was what? That if this is true, I will never read another Spider-Man comic ever again.
Even with Ben Reilly coming in to save the day, I don't think that'll be enough to get you to be, if this isn't who we think it is, or might be.
This will probably be my third strike if it ends up being true. But luckily, since I've had time to cool down, I've concocted. Well, actually, this is even between the whole time. This has kind of happened within an hour after you told me something like that. Which I didn't. I kind of gave you a little bit what I was thinking, but I didn't really tell you a whole much of what I was thinking. But anyway, let's make sense of the kid. We're talking about. There's been a reveal. Marvel solicited a page that Kindred is not Harry Osborn, but in fact Gwen Stacy. Supposedly that's what they want us to think.
So the previous issue, or the issue before that, it was revealed that it wasn't Harry Osborn at all. So it was a previous issue that I think 71 that it wasn't Harry Osborn. So when I saw that, I'm like, maybe this could be Steve was right. Maybe it might be pre Brand New Day. I almost said pre 52, that garbage, but pre Brand New Day.
New 52 was garbage. Pre 52 was
yeah. New 52 was garbage. I apologize to my fans because I hate that garbage.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, an intelligent, a rational person would have like backtracked and said, you know what, guy, I would have jumped on the channel and said, guys, we made a video, two videos about this, I guess. I think one of them was kind of theorizing, and the other one was kind of like at the fact we were showing the proof of Harry Osborn. We kind of made some more little theorized a little bit more. So a normal person would backtrack and say, guys, I was wrong. I guess we're gonna have to change up things and kind of like go from here. I decided to double down on my theories that I still don't believe this is Gwen Stacy. I've given Mike several theories, and we'll kind of go for the Mike. One of the theories right now that I have, what was the in like?
I think it's not the real deal because Nick Spencer already got enough hate with the evil Captain America. Even though I kind of like that storyline, I have a feeling that it's going to be Sarah Stacy.
I told you that, Mike.
But I was thinking about it as we were texting back, Saturday or Sunday, whenever when they told us about it. I think it is. I was thinking about it. It makes sense that it would be, Sarah. She looks exactly like Gwen.
We can definitely get into that theory. That one's going to take a little longer to kind of unwrap a little bit, so we'll get to that second. The first theory I had, I told you, I think was well, there's actually two theories right now. One of them I don't think is going to happen at all. We read in the last issue that Norman Osborn actually had a similar one more day deal with Mephisto. Apparently he wasn't doing so well as far as the Oscorp was going, or whatever they called it back then. He had a good relationship with Harry at that point too, but it was coming at the
they completely retconned that whole thing.
Yeah, so it's kind of coming at the cost of him being like a successful businessman. So he made a deal with Mephisto, and that kind of led into like him being like an asshole, the Goblin formula, getting like all the success with Oscorp and becoming the Green Goblin, all that kind of thing. Since we're dealing with undoing one more day in Nick Spencer's run, I had a theory that maybe if these deals get undone, maybe all the shitty things that Norman Osborn had done in his lifetime get undone, such as like his shitty relationship with Harry Osborn, him kidnapping Gwen Stacy, and that making Gwen Stacy alive. It kind of, but that right there would be that retcon where the butterfly effect would be like out of hand. It would change way too many stories.
Yeah, I think that would, I don't know. I think that would be like, well, if it was retcon during the previous run where Kindred comes back, yes, but I think you're right. I think that'd be too much of a big leap to. It
would kind of coincide with like the good Norman we're seeing right now, which I can go back to that in a minute. Also, the other one I thought was also the page we saw, which you're going to see inside the thumbnail, is Mary Jane seeing Kindred revealed as Gwen. The thing about that is, who has Mary Jane been hanging out with recently? Mysterio.
Mysterio, yeah.
And we all know Mysterio has ties to Kindred, and maybe this is kind of them kind of like, working together, and her and him, like, playing the long game by pretending to be like, on Mary Jane's side and trying to start a career in his career and this and that. And she's just trying to convince him that it is Gwen Stacy.
I will say this: the last issue of Sinister War was pretty badass.
I read it, and it's to me, it was fine. It was kind of a nothing burger. Really, nothing happened.
I think it was that classic Spidey taking on everyone at once and winning, and it was definitely better than the other two turds issues that came out.
That's fine too, and I love a good Spider-Man.
And one more Spidey story, I think, is Dark Ages. That was actually a pretty decent book.
Dark Age is really good. I like it a lot. I'm not a big fan of steampunk, but we'll see where it goes. As far as Tom Taylor books, it's pretty good. I'm not a big fan.
I just think I stay on that Spidey train while we're still here, but then we'll go back.
Yeah, get as much in as he can. So the Mysterio one's a possibility, and like Mike mentioned before, there's Sarah Stacy. Sarah Stacy was, if you guys remember, which is kind of funny. Is from Sin's Past, which you all remember, that infamous JMS Mike Deodato Jr. storyline where Norman and Gwen bumped uglies back in the day, where Gwen went away to Europe or France or whatever, and then she met up with Norman when he was thought dead or whatever. I don't know. Not thought dead. No one's just in Europe, I guess, for some reason, because this is before.
No, I think it was after he died. I think they hooked up. I think.
No, it couldn't have been, because she came back, and this is back.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
So. Sarah Stacy, who I had to think about for a second if she ended up dying. For some reason, I thought she died in the Sin's Past, but apparently she didn't.
They did another run of that during when Spectacular Spider-Man Volume 2.
That's what I was gonna say. During Spectacular Spider-Man, I think it was issue 23 to 26. I think it was the last storyline, Spectacular Spider-Man. I think, which was called "Sins Remembered." And the thing which kind of like makes me think it might be Sarah Stacy is not only the obvious fact that she looks like Gwen Stacy. What is the storyline been going on forever besides the Kindred storyline? Well, actually, it is Kindred storyline. It's been calling Sins Rising. Has been the Sin Eater storyline. Kindred keeps on mentioning Sins. The two storylines Gwen's kids, Sarah Stacy and Gabriel Stacy, are involved in are called Sins Past and Sins Remembered. So this could be the final chapter in the Sins trilogy, which makes me think it's probably Sarah Stacy. Sarah Stacy, as we saw in that last storyline that Mike mentioned, Spectacular Spider-Man, doesn't really like Spider-Man. She's after she left during Spider-Man's blood transfusion with her in Sins Past, which means she probably has some kind of like, insect powers, maybe some kind of centipede type powers now. We definitely saw her in Sins Remembered that she can stick to walls and climb walls like Spider-Man now. She also, just like her mother, which if you guys ever read those storylines back in the day with Gwen Stacy, a lot of people think of Gwen Stacy as kind of this like angelic, can do no wrong, goody goody. She was actually very bipolar and bitchy in the old issues right now. So I mean, it would be to see with those genes, the Stacy genes, as well as the Osborn genes, we can have a little cuckoo knucking futz going on in Sarah Stacy's brain right now. And since remember, she definitely had a mad on. She tried to manipulate Peter. She got involved in Interpol to kind of pay off her debts to her brother, who both of them kind of became like drug addicts, I guess, towards the end. She was like a pill popping maniac. And
it's all coming back to me now.
Yeah, and she also, I mean, would I think that the obvious too is she probably blames Spider-Man for killing her mom, which a lot of people say like Norman did. No, it's actually Peter who killed Gwen Stacy, not on purpose, by mind you, but I mean, she wouldn't be wrong to blame him because I mean, and it wasn't his fault. He was young and inexperienced, and obviously caught up in the moment. But I mean, like it's definitely a motive for her all, and so. The things that Kindred keeps on mentioning, like the sins, he can't escape his sins and this and that. Also, like her ties with the Kindred ties with Norman Osborn and Harry Osborn, all them, and her mad on for Mary Jane too. So I mean,
well, it makes me think that when we first were talking about this in our previous two videos, that it might have been Gwen or Peter or Harry, pre Brand New Day. There's a panel on one of the things where it revisits that scene right before Gwen dies. And it's like, we were all there. We saw how Norman was treating Harry, how he kicked us out. And then it's centered on a few issues later towards the end of, I don't know, when we started fighting Kindred for the first time, it focused on Gwen Stacy's dead corpse. So that's someone gave a poem to Gwen Stacy.
When we did see that flashback, it was kind of like a red herring because it seemed to focus a lot on like Harry Osborn overdosing, and so we're like, oh, so that really ties into the Harry Osborn, which is actually pretty smart of Spencer. If this is like a misdirect, because it seemed to focus on Harry Osborn. So like, oh, obviously Kindred's Harry Osborn, open and shut case. That same scene where they go to see Harry Osborn was also the same scene where Gwen went to the room with Norman and started bitching at him about like the kids and this and that and what happened with her and him in Europe. So yeah, I mean, like it definitely ties to the two of them for sure. As far as like Gwen Stacy and Harry Osborn, like that. Also, we're seeing Harry Osborn walk around right now, which we kind of theorize, is this like one of them Harry Osborn from pre Brand New Day, and what's going on? Is one of them like an afterlife thing? I kind of would prefer this to be Sarah Stacy because as much as I think Harry Osborn did make sense and it was kind of cool, I mentioned before in many podcasts, when you start adding like, evil spirits and other realms and this kind of thing, it becomes very not Spider-Man at that point, because Spider-Man's a very like, he doesn't always have to be street level. He's had like alien costumes and like, trips through other dimensions and that kind of thing, but it's mostly more grounded than when you start adding all this other bullshit that becomes like not Spider-Man anymore. When you have Harry Osborn, you start adding that stuff in, and then it turns into that. But if you have Sarah Stacy, this kind of makes sense in continuity. I know a lot of people aren't a fan of that storyline. I mean, I sure as heck wasn't. But I mean,
of all the JMS storylines, as soon as I read the first issue, I was like, "Oh, this is garbage." But being the trooper I am, I carried on and I read every issue, and
Yeah, so I mean, I think as far as me and Mike is, I think we're kind of landing on the Sarah Stacy theory right now, which yeah, I mean, what caught? I mean, yeah, it would kind of make sense, pretty much. Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, I don't think Nick Spencer. Again, he may not give a crap. I don't think Nick Spencer's going to want to be on the hate parade again after he was just on it with Captain America.
Well, he doesn't give a shit. He's off the Substack anyway.
I mean, again, I love that storyline with Cap. I love the evil Cap. I don't even know if he's still alive anymore, but I absolutely love that storyline. I'm not going to love this storyline if it turns out to be the real deal, Gwen Stacy.
Well, I'll tell you my feelings on that in a second. I think Spencer is clearly a huge Spider-Man fan. He he goes. Yeah, it shows. He goes into real deep cuts, and he's claims to have read every issue of Amazing Spider-Man. Supposedly not just Amazing Spider-Man, which I mean wouldn't really surprise me. The guy had a career in politics, and he actually ran for office and this and that. So I wouldn't. I'm sure he's used to a lot of prep work and reading a lot of material, but that's a lot of Spider-Man to go through. So I don't think Spencer would actually bring back the original Gwen Stacy, which is something lesser writers like Dan Slott did or claimed to do, I guess, during Clone Conspiracy or whatever it was, or whatever the moment Gwen Stacy came back before Clone Conspiracy.
And that was the same one where we ruined our dear Ben.
Yeah, it's true. Hopefully he gets redemption in the upcoming storyline. Spider-Man.
Well, like you said, this might be the third strike. They already have one strike going against them. Remember that free Spider-Man Day where they were criticizing the greatest uniform of all time? This one.
That I mean, it's bothersome to me, but that's not as offensive to me as a strike. To me,
almost
different strokes for different folks. To me, the first strike was one more day. After one more day, I'm like, I have no investment in this character anymore. I still check in on the comics right now and read them, but I have no emotional attachment. It's like a kid who's or not a kid, a dead relative where you remember, and then people bring up stories and you kind of look at them like, yeah, it's nice, but it's not what Peter Parker is.
Out of
really
all
bad
the
analogy.
that made me almost quit myself. It was Brand New Day. But I was as you guys all know, I'm such a huge fan of Spider-Man. I wonder how. But I powered through that too. But nothing was worse than if you thought homeless Peter Parker making out with a 15-year-old girl, would make you want to quit. If he kissed him, whatever. Still, if you thought homeless Peter Parker was enough to quit, if you survive through that, then Brand New Day.
That was one of the two. Do you have a fire? Is there a fire at your house, or is it?
No, it's the phone's going off. They still have a dial phone.
I only quit. Okay, so anyway, that was my first strike. Was one more day, and my second strike is just this MCU Spider-Man. They turned Spider-Man into Robin for Iron Man, pretty much. I cannot fucking stand. I'm just waiting for it to reboot again if it ever reboots. Or if Sony just takes over it again, which I know it's not, a lot. The internet likes to say otherwise, but I actually prefer Sony Spider-Man over Marvel Spider-Man.
I've always preferred the Amazing Spider-Man movies over all of them, and now that I watch them again and again, he's the most comic book accurate Peter Parker and Spider-Man. It's just I don't know. He's my favorite Spider-Man now. I
watched both Amazing Spider-Man movies a couple weeks ago. The first time since Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out. And it's actually it's a really solid Spider-Man movie until they introduced the Osborn stuff. If they took out the Osborn stuff, that movie would be great. I mean, the whole beginning.
If they left in the deleted scenes where it shows Harry, saying, "Oh, you're being watched." The one thing that killed it for me for that movie, and not really killed it as I hated it, when Harry Osborn comes down, sees Spider-Man next to Gwen, it's like, "Oh, wait a second. You're Peter Parker. Gwen's your hope. Let me take that away from you because you took my hope." Yeah, that was the stupidest part of the movie.
All the Osborn stuff is just mishandled, but everything else in the movie, I even like Electro in it. I think Electro was fun. He's very much like the Riddler from Batman Forever in it, but I mean, whatever, it is what it is. I mean, Electro's not a very complex character anyway, so I don't know what you're expecting. But I mean, as far as the Amazing Spider-Man 1 is very solid, very good movie. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is beautiful. The soundtrack with Hans Zimmer and Pharrell Williams, oh my god, is great. The colors are so vibrant and it's so well shot. You got scenes of Spider-Man, like, with a hat on and sneezing inside his mask. You got him, the whole banter between him and the not yet Rhino. At the beginning, you got him with the fire hat on, swinging the hose after he sprays Electro. Great movie. He moves great. Yeah. Great movie. But MCU Spider-Man, that strikes two for me. The MCU Spider-Man. If this is Gwen Stacy, the real Gwen Stacy, I am all done Spider-Man. I never even told you that in the text. I'm telling you right now, I can only take so much. The news, the last storyline, Spencer, is called "What Cost Victory," whatever it is. The cost would be me. If this is Gwen Stacy, not only will I never read a Spider-Man comic again, not even, I won't even pirate it. And I will never read Spider-Man. I will not watch the fucking movies. I will not watch the cartoons, the games, toys, anything. Spider-Man will not exist to me anymore if this is Gwen Stacy.
Except for our Spider-Man podcast. That's gonna be
I will do the Spider-Man podcast, and it would be great. I will love revisiting those old great stories. I love talking about Spider-Man, but I will not support. I don't even read anything else of Marvel besides Spider-Man. Marvel, to paraphrase the greatest Batman movie, Dark Knight, the Joker scene. Marvel, you have nothing to offer me. Not with all your strength, you have nothing. There's nothing to get me to read any of your books. Spider-Man is the first Marvel character I started reading, and if this is Gwen Stacy, it'll be the last time I ever involve myself in anything Marvel going forward. I would be so offended by it that because to me it's just like the most stupidest fucking thing you could do ever is bring back the birth of the Bronze Age. The birth of the Bronze was when Gwen Stacy, you had the Golden Age, the Silver Age, and then when Gwen Stacy was dropped off that bridge, that was the Bronze Age, which I don't care when if you're like a modern age fan, 90s fan, Casada modern age fan, the Bronze Age was the greatest era of comics at all. It zenithed and plateaued, touched the sun during the Bronze Age, and then it's been limping on ever since. And so if you tarnish that legacy by taking the death of Gwen Stacy, one of the most important moments in comic books, not just like in Spider-Man, comic books, and pervert it into this like shock value. Look, here's the villain. It's Gwen Stacy. Fuck you, Marvel. I will never ever come back ever. That'll be.
I agree. That was such an important book. That was one of my first old books I ever got, Spider-Man wise. Yeah. Actually, the first one I got was the Marvel team up of Spider-Man and Thing versus Thanos. But my oldest Amazing Spider-Man book I ever got at first was 121. Yeah, 122. I'm sorry, and then I got 121 out of it. And like that was played out in the Spider-Man cartoon, but they used Mary Jane instead. And that was such a powerful comic book, and to take that away, that's
just for like a sales spike, like so I mean, yeah, that's to me. I mean, that's like you don't.
No, I don't care if it's a clone of her, because I think the clone is still running around too. I think, well, the newest clone of her still running around, and or Sarah Stacy, or even a new clone, but
it's that's when someone's like gone, like you watch the movies and like there's always someone can be redeemed, like you're like, well, I still holding on hope that's a good person. That would be just like when Marvel jumps off the cliff, where it's like like so unimaginative and like so like they've given up at that point. They've given up on like.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm barely holding on to Spider-Man as it is.
Yeah,
and the completeness in me wants to get every single book until the day I die, and the fact that Ben Reilly's coming back is maybe the redeeming factor, even though it's just going to be a repeat Clone Saga thing again, except it's not going to be, oh, I'm Ben Reilly, I was on a run, blah blah blah, that type of nonsense. But
it sounds fine. I love Ben Reilly got me back into comics. I stopped reading comics for a long time, and then I saw the Ben Reilly costume in a Wizard magazine, and I'm like, ooh, what's going on in Spider-Man? And that's what got me back into it. And I would love to watch the further adventures of Ben Reilly, but if they do this right now, that I'm not even the great Ben Reilly can pull me back in. I'm sorry, I can't. It's like being in an abusive relationship. You don't try to work it out. If someone hits you or beats you, you don't try to work it out. You don't try to talk it over.
Well, walk away. Simon keeps hitting me, and I keep coming back for more. So
at some point, you gotta walk away, and that would be. But I mean, let's not count on it. Like, on like, I don't want to, like, be a glass half empty. And I don't want to, like, scream doom and gloom. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully the Sarah Stacey thing is or maybe the whole thing is just a fake out. It's been Harry Osborn the whole time. Who knows? But as long as it's not the real Gwen, I think we're all in safe, calm waters. Me as a Spider-Man fan.
You better be listening, Marvel. We're gonna tag you in this shit. I need my buddy Steve to watch read the Ben Reilly stuff with me.
I don't think they would even care. No. But I mean, like just
they stopped caring a long time ago.
I don't mind if you care. That's besides the point, Marvel. Just don't do horrible things. Like, you know what I mean? Just don't be obvious.
If they cared, they would have Peter Parker still in the Amazing Spider-Man suit when Spider-Man comes out, the movie Spider-Man 3, and not kill off Doctor Strange in his own miniseries where they're killing him off when he's going to be a team player. So,
what am I doing to my hair right now? But anyway, that's our theories, guys. I mean, like, I know you expect. I did rant and rave a little bit. I expected to go into this video a little heavier, a little hot and heavy. So I shaved my beard off. I was so angry.
Kind of light. You came in kind of light. You came in kind of light.
I did. I'm getting old. I'm like, I'm not, like I said, I'm already, one foot's already out the door with me as far as Spider-Man goes. So I mean, like, but I want to.
Once we reach 1,000, if they go digital after that, I don't even give a shit anymore because I'm so burnt out from new comic books nowadays. Like I said, the Dark Ages was good, but that's an alternate reality or another Earth. So like all these great maxi series, summer series that are coming out, or mini series, all the best ones take place on another Earth. That's not canon.
I'd be lying if I didn't say that as far as Marvel and DC goes, I'm really sensing a good break. It's been for a while. I've had before back when I was younger. I had a little bit years and years ago. But I'm sensing it's time for us to have some space. I think for a little while.
Well, don't worry, IDW and Boom will bring you right back in with Turtles and Power Rangers.
So yeah, Turtles better get some action better happen in Turtles because I mean that's also because I'm starting to lose interest in that also. But anyway, that's our episode for today, guys. So Kindred, who is it? Is it Gwen Stacy? Is it Sarah Stacey? Is it Mysterio? Is it still Harry Osborn? Is it somebody else? Is it Mephisto? It's always Mephisto, guys.
Yeah, especially in the MCU. Oh, Doctor Strange started. Oh, that's Mephisto.
Oh, Twitter. That's gonna do it for us this time, guys. Remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.
Later.